There is a unique kind of loneliness that some people feel even when they are surrounded by others. It is not about being ignored or excluded. It is a quiet ache, a feeling that somehow you're there but not fully seen. If you're someone who feels everything so deeply, who notices the smallest details, who can sense when someone is hurting even when they are smiling, then you may know exactly what this feels like. This is the experience of many empaths, people who are naturally attuned to the emotions of those around them. On the surface, it might seem like a gift, and in many ways it is, but it can also come with a cost. Because when you're constantly feeling the undercurrents of what everyone else is going through, you can lose touch with your own feelings. You can begin to blend into the background of your own life, quietly holding space for everyone else while secretly feeling invisible yourself. Chapter 1. Understanding Empathic Sensitivity. To understand why empaths feel lonely even in a crowd, we first have to understand what it really means to be an empath. It is not just about being kind or being a good listener. It is a way of experiencing the world that is often more intense than most people realize. Being an empath means that you do not just observe emotions, you feel them. You notice the subtle shift in someone's tone, the quick glance that gives away discomfort, the tiny pause before someone answers a question. You register all of this automatically, sometimes before you even realize it is happening. This kind of emotional sensitivity is like having an inner antenna that is always switched on. You can sense when someone across the room is tense or when someone nearby is quietly upset. While other people may pick up on these cues once they are made obvious, you catch them instantly as though you are reading between the lines of every interaction. This constant awareness can make life feel richer. It can make conversations deeper and connections more meaningful because you're present to the layers that many others miss. But it also means that you rarely get a break. You're not only aware of your own feelings, you're aware of everyone else's feelings too. You're living in two worlds at once, your inner world and the emotional atmosphere around you. When you are in a group setting, this sensitivity can be both fascinating and exhausting. You might be smiling and nodding along while also keeping track of how everyone else in the room is feeling. You notice who is quiet, who is withdrawn, who is restless, and who is carrying unspoken tension. It can feel like you are holding the entire emotional map of the room in your mind. Over time, this can create a strange sense of distance. You are physically present, but your attention is divided between your own experience and everyone else's emotional signals. It can feel like standing slightly outside of the moment, watching it all unfold, managing the flow of emotions in silence. This is where the loneliness can creep in. Because while you're deeply aware of everyone else, you may not feel that anyone is equally aware of you. Another reason empaths feel lonely is because they often struggle to turn this sensitivity off. Even when you want to just enjoy yourself, your mind is still scanning, still noticing, still feeling. It can be hard to relax because you are processing so much information. You might leave a gathering feeling emotionally full, but personally empty, like you were there for everyone else, but never really had a chance to show up for yourself. And then there is the quiet pressure that comes with this ability. Many empaths feel a subtle responsibility to keep the peace, to lighten the mood, or to support others who seem uncomfortable. This is not necessarily because anyone asked you to. It is just what your nervous system does. You step into the role of the helper, the stabilizer, the listener. And while this can be deeply meaningful, it can also make you feel like you're performing a role instead of simply being yourself. The truth is, this heightened awareness is a powerful trait, but without balance, it can make you feel more like an observer than a participant in your own life. You might find yourself wondering why you feel so disconnected even though you're surrounded by people. It is not because you are antisocial or because you do not care. It is because part of you is always reaching outward, connecting, supporting, and holding space for everyone else. And if you're not careful, you can forget to hold space for yourself. This is why understanding your own sensitivity is so important. It allows you to see that your loneliness is not random, and it is not a flaw. It is simply the natural result of constantly giving so much attention outward that your inner world starts to feel neglected. When you start to recognize this, you can begin to gently shift the balance. You can learn to notice your own feelings with the same care and curiosity that you give to others. Chapter 2: The Hidden Weight of Carrying Others. Once we understand what it really means to be an empath, we begin to see why the emotional load can feel so heavy. It is not just the momentary feelings we pick up from those around us. Often, we carry them with us long after the moment has passed. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of being highly sensitive. It is not just about noticing emotions. It is about absorbing them, holding them, and sometimes even taking responsibility for them. When you walk into a room and feel tension in the air, it does not just register as information. It becomes something you hold inside. If someone nearby is sad, you do not just recognize their sadness, you feel it. Your body and mind respond as if it is happening to you. This is not a conscious choice. It happens automatically, like breathing, and this is where the hidden weight begins to build. Imagine spending a whole day around people, at work, in public spaces, at social gatherings, and absorbing small pieces of everyone's emotions. By the time you get home, you're carrying an invisible backpack full of worry, frustration, stress, and pain that does not even belong to you. This is why so many empaths feel exhausted without understanding why. It can also create a quiet sense of responsibility that becomes heavy over time. When you notice someone's discomfort, a part of you feels like you should fix it. You might try to cheer them up, smooth things over, or adjust yourself to make them feel better. On the surface, this looks kind and generous, and it is. But inside, it can create a pattern of always putting your own needs last. The weight gets heavier when you notice that this effort often goes unrecognized. Because you're so good at making others feel comfortable, many people never realize just how much energy it takes. They see the calm, supportive version of you, but they do not see the quiet recovery process that happens afterward. They do not see the mental replay where you go over conversations in your head, wondering if you said the right thing or if you could have done more. And sometimes the most painful part is not what you feel in the moment. It is what you carry with you later. Long after everyone else has moved on, you might still be thinking about that person who seemed upset, that colleague who seemed withdrawn, that friend who didn't say much. You might lie awake at night feeling a heaviness you cannot name, only to realize that it belongs to someone else entirely. This hidden weight can lead to a subtle kind of loneliness, because on the outside, you may look like someone who is fully engaged, who has plenty of connection, who is fine. But inside, you might be holding so much that there is little space left for you to simply be. This is where the disconnect grows, when your outer life looks full, but your inner life feels quietly burdened. And because you care so deeply, it can be hard to set this weight down. You might feel guilty for needing space, as though you are abandoning the very people you care about. You might worry that if you stop holding everything together, it will all fall apart. But the truth is, you are allowed to put some of that weight down. You are allowed to separate what belongs to you from what belongs to others. Recognizing this hidden weight is not about blaming anyone for giving it to you. It is about seeing clearly what you have been carrying and acknowledging that it has shaped the way you experience the world. It is about giving yourself permission to feel lighter, to stop taking responsibility for every emotion that passes through your awareness, and to create space for your own feelings to take up room too. When you begin to notice the weight, you can begin to release it, little by little, moment by moment. You can start asking yourself questions like, is this mine to carry? Do I really need to hold on to this right now? Can I let it pass through me instead of holding it inside? These small shifts can change everything because they remind you that you are more than just a container for other people's emotions. Chapter 3. The Loneliness No One Sees. There is a unique kind of loneliness that empaths often experience, and it does not come from being physically alone. It comes from being surrounded by people and still feeling like no one can truly see what you're carrying inside. This is not because others do not care. It is because the experience of feeling so deeply, so constantly, is something that many people cannot imagine. And that can make you feel separate, even when you're right in the middle of a crowd. It is not an obvious kind of loneliness. From the outside, you might appear to be connected, engaged, even thriving. People might look at you and assume you're fine because you always seem to be listening, smiling, offering a gentle presence. And in some ways, you are fine. But in other ways, you are quietly yearning for someone who will notice when your energy is fading, someone who will recognize when you're the one who needs to be cared for. The loneliness grows not just because you carry others' emotions, but because you often hide your own. You might tell yourself that your feelings are too much, or that you should not burden others with them. You might become so used to being the strong, understanding one that when you do need support, you struggle to ask for it. This creates a cycle where you give endlessly, but receive very little in return. Not because people do not want to give, but because they do not realize you need it. And so, even in a room full of people, there can be a sense of disconnection. Everyone is talking, laughing, moving through the moment, while a part of you is standing just outside of it all, watching, noticing, feeling everything too intensely to relax into it. It is as though you are present, but not fully a part of it. This feeling can be difficult to put into words. It is not the same as being ignored or excluded. It is more subtle, more internal. It is the quiet ache of wanting to be known at the same depth that you know others. It is the hope that someone will see past your calm surface and recognize the depth beneath it. And yet, there is also something powerful in this kind of loneliness. It can be a signal that you're ready to connect with yourself on a deeper level. It can be a sign that you need to pause, to stop taking in everyone else's energy for a moment, and to simply be with your own. When you listen to this signal, instead of pushing it away, it becomes a guide, a reminder to create space for your own inner world, your own feelings, your own needs. The truth is, loneliness does not always mean you are missing people. Sometimes it means you are missing yourself. You have been so focused on everyone else that you have forgotten to check in with the one person who is always with you, you. When you begin to notice this, something shifts. You start to recognize that your loneliness is not a flaw or a weakness. It is a message that you have been giving too much, holding too much, and now it is time to refill what you have given away. It is time to turn some of that care inward, and this is where connection begins, not outside of you, but inside. When you take time to sit with your feelings, to acknowledge what is yours and what you have been carrying for others, you slowly start to feel more whole. The loneliness softens because you are no longer leaving yourself behind. Chapter 4. Reconnecting with yourself. After carrying the weight of everyone else's emotions and living with the quiet loneliness that comes from not being fully seen, there comes a moment when you realize something must shift. This is not about cutting yourself off from the world or closing your heart. It is about learning to find your center again, to come home to yourself, so you can stay grounded even when the world feels loud. The first step is often the hardest. It is giving yourself permission to pause. So many empaths are used to rushing in to help, to soothe, to support. The idea of stopping, even for a moment, can feel selfish, but it is not selfish. It is necessary. Your mind and body need space to release what you have been carrying. Imagine what it would feel like to sit quietly, away from the noise, and simply let yourself breathe. To stop trying to solve everything and just notice how you feel. At first, it might feel strange or uncomfortable because you are so used to focusing on everyone else. But slowly, you start to notice the small signals your body gives you. The tension in your shoulders, the tiredness behind your eyes, the way your breath feels shallow. These are all clues, gentle messages reminding you that you deserve rest and care too. Creating space for yourself does not have to mean disappearing for hours or days. It can be small moments throughout the day. Stepping outside for fresh air, sitting in a quiet corner, turning off your phone for a few minutes, and letting the silence settle around you. These little pauses add up. They create a buffer between you and the emotions that do not belong to you. It is also important to notice your internal boundaries, the invisible lines that separate your emotions from the emotions of others. Start asking yourself simple questions when you feel overwhelmed. Is this feeling mine, or did I pick it up from someone else? Am I reacting to something happening right now, or to something I absorbed earlier? This kind of awareness allows you to gently release what is not yours, without judgment. Reconnecting with yourself also means letting your own feelings take up space. You may be so used to minimizing your needs that at first it feels unnatural to focus on them. But your feelings are just as valid as anyone else's. When you allow yourself to feel without trying to fix or hide it, you begin to rebuild trust with yourself. And as you reconnect, something beautiful happens. You begin to feel lighter, not because the world has changed, but because you're no longer carrying all of it on your shoulders. You begin to notice what genuinely brings you joy, or what feels nourishing, what helps you feel safe. You begin to move through life from a place of clarity rather than constant reaction. This process takes time. Some days it will feel easy and natural. Other days it will feel like work. But each moment you choose to turn inward, you're strengthening the connection with yourself. You're reminding yourself that your inner world matters. And over time, this connection becomes your anchor, the place you return to whenever the weight of the world feels too heavy. Reconnecting with yourself is not about shutting others out. It is about creating a strong enough foundation that you can stay open to others without losing yourself in the process. It is about finding balance between caring for others and caring for yourself so that you no longer feel lonely even when you're surrounded by people. Chapter 5. Protecting your energy without building walls. Once you begin reconnecting with yourself, the next challenge is learning how to stay connected, even when life gets busy and the world's emotions start pressing in again. This is where many empaths struggle, because the natural instinct is to keep giving, to keep saying yes, to keep absorbing. But maintaining balance is about learning how to protect your energy without shutting yourself off completely. Protecting your energy is not about building cold, impenetrable walls around yourself. It is about creating soft, flexible boundaries that allow you to stay open and compassionate without losing your sense of self. Think of it like having a doorway. You decide what comes in and what stays outside. You can open the door when you choose and close it when you need time to recover. One of the most powerful tools is learning to pause before saying yes. When someone needs something from you, instead of immediately agreeing, give yourself a moment to check in. Ask yourself, do I have the energy for this right now? Will saying yes feel good to me, or will it leave me feeling resentful and depleted? This pause can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to putting others first, but it is an act of respect for your own well-being. It is also helpful to create daily rituals that help you release what you have absorbed. This might mean taking a quiet walk at the end of the day and imagining all the emotions you picked up gently leaving your body. It might mean journaling for a few minutes to get thoughts and feelings out of your head. It might mean listening to calming music or simply sitting in silence for a while. These small rituals remind you that you do not have to carry everything forever. Another key part of protecting your energy is learning to recognize when you're full. Just as your body tells you when you have eaten enough, your emotions will tell you when you have taken in too much. You might feel physically tense, mentally scattered, or emotionally heavy. Instead of pushing through, honor that signal by stepping back. Give yourself permission to rest, to say no, or to choose a quieter path for the moment. Boundaries are not just about saying no to others. They're also about saying yes to yourself. Yes to rest, yes to space, yes to the activities and people that refill your energy rather than drain it. When you begin to view boundaries as a way of supporting your ability to stay open and compassionate, rather than as a punishment or rejection, they become easier to set and keep. And most importantly, be gentle with yourself through this process. There will be times when you overgive and feel drained. There will be times when you struggle to say no and wish you had. This is not failure. It is learning. Each experience shows you more clearly where your limits are, and each step teaches you how to honor them better next time. Protecting your energy is not about changing who you are. Your sensitivity is not a problem to be solved. It is a gift to be nurtured. It is about learning how to hold that gift with care, so that you can continue to offer it to the world without losing yourself in the process. When you find this balance, something shifts. You stop feeling like you're constantly fighting to keep up with the world and start feeling like you're moving with it, steady, calm, and grounded. You can still offer empathy and kindness, but you are no longer drained by every encounter. You can still feel deeply, but you are not overwhelmed by every feeling. You begin to trust that you can care for yourself and for others at the same time. This is the turning point where loneliness begins to fade. Because when you're grounded in yourself, you no longer feel lost in a crowd. You can be surrounded by people and still feel at home because you're connected to the one person who matters most, you.